Mangwana ni mwalilepo vukenjani. Class Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Bedi on Thursday, the 10th of October. These are some of the stories that we're looking at. 360 million rand spent on overtime for VIP protection officers as Mchunu dodges questions about unit that is in South Africa. Mozambique ruling party eyes new term as election runs peacefully, and woman detained for trying to sell 2 children for 14,200 euros also in Mozambique. Follow all our programs on oneup2.com or DSTV 285 and GoTV 25 in Namibia, as well as Network Media Hub on YouTube. Talent Gore will also fill us in on the news making waves in Zimbabwe. This is Africa Good Morning. Top stories shortly.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Let's get into our top stories. Nearly 360 million rand in overtime has been paid by the South African Police Service to members of the VIP Protection Unit over the past 2 years. This was disclosed in a written parliamentary reply to Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. Rise Mzansi Member of Parliament Makashule Ghana inquired about the total overtime payments made to VIP Protection Unit officers for guarding ministers and their deputies. Mchunu, in the response, disclosed the overtime payments totaled 198 million rand during the 2022-2023 financial year. The payments decreased to 161 million rand in the following year. Both amounts totaled to nearly 360 million rand. Ghana also inquired about which ministries had the highest overtime claims by officers and requested details on the top 5 ministries. However, Mchunu clarified that overtime claims were consistent across all ministries. All close protection officers are claiming the same number of hours for overtime per month, which is 100 hours due to the extraordinary working hours. The reply reads, the budget for the VIP Protection Unit was criticized by some MPs during a vote debate in a mini plenary session. Build One South Africa Deputy Leader Nobuntu Hlazo Webster highlighted the growing size of the executive, which now includes 32 ministers and 43 deputy ministers, as a strain on the police budget. Other MPs argued that these funds would be better spent on crime-fighting efforts. Let's move over to our next story. Mozambique voted in an election yesterday that is likely to deliver another victory for the ruling Frelimo party that has been in power in the Southern African nation since 1975. The favorite among 4 candidates vying to replace incumbent President Filipe Nyusi as he steps down after serving 2 terms is Daniel Chapo, 47, a lawyer viewed as a safe choice for business and a fresh face for the long ruling party. Frelimo first allowed elections in 1994 and has since been accused of rigging them, charges it denies. A rebel force turned opposition party Renamo usually comes in a distant second place. Counting will start after the polls close at 6 p.m, but official results will take up to 2 weeks. Any disputed outcome could trigger protests similar to those which broke out after Frelimo swept last year's municipal elections and which were forcefully suppressed. However, election observers from the European Union said voting was peaceful and that no major issues had been observed so far, while the Mais Integridade civil society group said 90% of polling stations had opened on time. Half of Mozambique's 35 million people were registered to vote, with the big concerns being over high levels of poverty and an Islamist insurgency in the north that has forced thousands to flee their homes and halted multi-billion-dollar gas projects. Now, in our next story, we stay with Mozambique as the Mozambican National Criminal Investigation Service detained a 36-year-old woman for trying to sell her 2 children for 14,200 euros in Tete province. in the center of the country. She was arrested red-handed in the city of Tete when she was trying to sell her two underage children for around 1 million metikais, Selina Roca, Selnik's spokesperson in that province, told the media. According to the spokeswoman, she is an unemployed woman who wanted to leverage her business through a local healer using the value of the sale of the children to pay for the services. The arrest was made when the citizen contacted an individual saying that she wanted to sell her children, claiming that she was suffering from extreme poverty, said Selina Roca. The Cernic spokeswoman added that the Criminal Investigation Force is working to locate the alleged buyer and others involved in the negotiation. The fate of the two child victims has not been clarified. Mozambique recorded at least 38 victims of human trafficking in 2022 who were taken to South Africa, according to figures released by the Mozambican Attorney General's office, and this was in July 2023. Moving over to our next story, Sudan is the largest displacement crisis in the world. Vera Jourova, Vice President of the European Commission for Values and Transparency, said as the European Parliament debated the situation in the war-torn country this week. The conflict in Sudan has generated displacement at levels unseen since the war in Syria. It's now 10.9 million internally displaced persons in Sudan, and an additional 2.2 million people have crossed the border into the neighboring countries. Jourova said in Strasbourg. Maria Walsh, now MEP for Midlands Northwest, said Sudan is the only place in the world where a full-scale famine has been declared in years. Sudan plunged into conflict mid-April 2023 when long-simmering tensions between its military and paramilitary leaders broke out in the capital Khartoum and spread to Darfur and other regions. Some 10 million have been internally displaced, and the country is engulfed in a humanitarian crisis. Tens of thousands of people have died in the fighting. Moving over to the last of our top stories, Cameroon's president is in excellent health. Senior officials have insisted after a long public absence stoked widespread speculation about the 91-year-old leader's condition. President Paul Biya has not been seen in public since 8 September when he attended a China-Africa forum in Beijing. He has since missed events he was scheduled to be at, such as the United Nations General Assembly in New York. But in a statement, the head of Cameroon's civil cabinet said Biya was well and condemned the mischievous individuals speculating about the president's health and eventual death. The statement came after days of opposition parties and civil society groups calling for information on Biya's health and exact whereabouts. The head of state continues to exercise his duties in Geneva and has never departed the Swiss city. Following his visit to Beijing, Samuel Mvodo Ayolo, director of the civil cabinet, said on Wednesday evening, now Biya has long been criticized for the amount of time he spends outside the country and in Switzerland in particular. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. After the break, we're going to be swinging over to Zimbabwe as Talent Gore brings us the latest news from there.
E-Ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
All right, it's time for us to talk to Talent Gore as she brings us the latest news stories from Zimbabwe. Talent Wamukase. Africa, good morning. Now, Zimbabwe's biggest marketplace, Bare, is hard stands still. Fire ravaged the local marketplace. This is disheartening, and it really is the heartbeat of Harare and Zimbabwe.
Yes, goods and merchandise worth $1 million we on Tuesday night destroyed at Zimbabwe our biggest market and oldest market, which is Mzimba, you find out that many goods and especially fresh produce were being sold at Mzimba, and they fire out on Tuesday morning, destroying almost everything that was there. So eyewitnesses who spoke to journalists said that they are not really sure as to what caused the fire. I believe that uh, uh, they believe that cigarette smokers who actually sell brooms in the market are the ones who caused the fire. Apparently, this was not the first time that Mbari has been burnt down, but before the impact was not as much as this time around. Literally, everyone who has their Mbari has lost their goods, and there is one farmer who actually lost peanuts worth 16,000 United States dollars. You find out that small scale farmers, even big scale farmers, they take their produce to Mbari for reselling. People travel from all over the country with their goods to sell at Mbari. If one wants in Mzimba is well known for its diversity. We have fresh produce there, we have clothes, we have literally everything and anything in Mzimba. And right now, a lot of people have actually lost their livelihoods due to the fire. The government and the Harare City Council, which are in charge of Mzimba, have said that they are going to ensure that they compensate the and sell at Mzimba. So we are not really sure how they are going to help them, and other stakeholders as well are coming on board. And also Vendors Association have called for the Harare municipality, in particular the mayor, to ensure that when they rebuild Mbari, they actually modernize it, because before it was burnt down, it was a state of disaster. So it was just a matter of time before something like this, something tragic like this happened. And by themselves, a lot of people have lost their livelihoods, and they're just saying we don't know what we're going to do. And the municipality and the police are saying that they're investigating what triggered the fire at Mbadamsik.
All right, we'll certainly be looking forward to updates from that story, Talent. Now, moving on, Zimbabwe's government has announced a major shift to its land policy. This was this week, allowing beneficiaries of its land reforms to sell or transfer their farms, but only to indigenous Zimbabweans.
Yes, as you all know, during the early 2000s, Zimbabwe went through a reform program in which the black majority was allowed to take farms, grape farms, from white minorities. So right now, the government has said they are now allowing beneficiaries of the land reform program to sell or transfer their farms only to indigenous Zimbabweans. Before, that was not allowed, and before the farm owners could not do so because they did not have papers, they did not have bank papers or transferable documents of tenure to sell land. But right now, the government has said that the new policy was actually aimed at unlocking the value of the land. All farmers who benefited from the land reform program, which was launched in 2000, will now be issued with a